topic of corporate philanthropy. So thank you so much to the Roy Cunha Foundation to host us here. I brought a baby, so it's my book on corporate philanthropy. What's a long birth, so to speak, but still we made it. And it refers to a surprising discovery of our first round of the Deignan Award for Responsible Entrepreneurship. So when we had the gloomy time of COVID, some people told me, no, please don't go into this of award. Everybody's so depressed, so just forget it. But I was encouraged, by the way, also through Dean, our dear Dean, Jenny Phillips, to go ahead. And we were surprised by many inspiring examples of small and medium-sized companies in Macau and Hong Kong. And was especially surprising how efficiently these companies helped people who really faced great distress, the disadvantaged. So therefore we thought this is the inspiration, our challenge for the second round now, as we very much believe, as this Father Deignan very strongly believed in the passion of education and sharing key values, that we could have a focus on corporate philanthropy. With my team, I studied the charity law of China 2016, which is quite liberal and encouraging the companies to donate to social causes. And again, the main challenge is how this is really implemented in Hong Kong and Macau. And I'm so glad that we open now the second round of this true challenge here in Macau. And I look very much forward to this inspiring sharing. So I give over to our host, Dean Jenny Phillips. So please welcome all our panelists.
I have this one. I think the microphone is working, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm not going to shout. I can try to be a lady. Thank you very much, Father Professor Rothland, who have shared with us. We started the idea of the Deignan Award for Responsible Enterprises. Actually, Father Rothland didn't mention the short form of this award is called DARE, D-A-R-E. So that's why the second round that we are running it, we dare all of you who have been running your own very responsible social enterprises to participate with us. And it's always difficult to be the first one, and we are very happy today to have been able to invite those who had gone through this process, the winners from the Deignan Award for Responsible Enterprises, DARE 2022. We have today with us the winner of the DARE Award from last time, MSS Recruitment, the Managing Director of MSS Recruitment, Ms. Lo Xiu Yun, S.Y.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. And another winner of the DARE 2022, which is CNC Lawyers. Many of you here would know. We have the General Manager of CNC Lawyers, Mr. Roy Cunha, who will be here to share also. And everyone knows the guy in the end there, Mr. Jose Galush-Matias. He was not the winner because he didn't join. And he didn't join was because he can't, because he is part of our team. He's the media partner of the Deignan Award. So we have our partner here, but he has lots of experience to share with us today. So we're very glad to see him finally, not on the side of the moderator, but the one on the sharing side. So I will ask everyone to welcome our speakers here today. So without further ado, I would like to start our discussion today. Our topic is, well, the general idea is about responsible entrepreneurship. Our topic today is about corporate philanthropy. So what is corporate philanthropy? It is not just an action. I believe many businesses, or actually everyone, can do a philanthropic action, can do a responsible work. Like even individually, we can do it. But for an organization, for a truly responsible business, have this idea and value of corporate philanthropy that is deeply rooted into their organization. So today, with a representative, with all the leaders of 3 already known responsible enterprises, we would like to ask you to share with us a bit. First, what is the value that is rooted in your organization that prompts you to carry out the different actions that contribute to the society? So shall we, ladies first?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm Sirian from MSS Recruitment. I think that's quite a tough one because we didn't actually really link our corporate values back to our philanthropy values. But if you take a deeper look into it, actually there is some form of correlation. MSS has been in Macau for maybe 12 years. From a very small, she's the first founder, I'm the second founder, Gigi, the beautiful lady there. Of course, she started with just a very small office, and today we have a few offices in the region. And that is very much served by the values of a can-do spirit, of always wanting to, working with our heart, where a lot of our employees join us since they graduate till the day they're married and have babies, and they're still with us. And that made me question why. I think it very much brings us back to philanthropy starts at home. You know, if you want to integrate the values of love, of care, of caring for people out of your own community, it always starts at home, where you need to treat your own employees with respect, treat your employees with consideration. So a lot of our benefits, a lot of our company plans have always strategized with the employees' goals as well. So for example, just a very simple thing, like most of our employees are ladies. They have kids, they have families. So very simple, you work Monday to Friday, you're only left with the weekends. You could hardly go to the bank. You could hardly do much with the working hours. So if they have issues at home with the kids, with the parents, with their pets, they're free to just call in and come and report work at a much later hour. If they have kids that's below 12 years old, they could opt to work at home sometime to be with their kids. We don't have very strict policies of what you must adhere to, what you cannot do. Basically, we'll look at results of what they can deliver. But underlying that, we want to be as convenient as possible for the employees so that they're happy working the organization, so they feel this is a place they want to stay on, this is a place they feel where the values of the company integrate with their personal life as well. So from these, we believe it also transforms to them feeling settled, feeling cared for, and only when we are settled and confident are you able to really open your heart to others. So it's just to us, it's very straightforward and simple things, nothing big or nothing glorifying. But to take it into a corporate level, our philanthropy values is to be the change you want to see in the world. I think this is a quote by Gandhi. And it doesn't mean big initiatives or small initiatives, but it means taking that step to make the action. I think it starts very much, how do we transform that values? We try to integrate that into many aspects of the company, right from the beginning when we recruit the employees. We'll be delighted if the applicant has interest in volunteering experience. They show interest in joining social clubs. They show interest in family priorities. We would chat a lot during the interview about the personal attributes, the personal interests of the employees, rather than what degree you come with, what are the results you have achieved in your school. Even if they're scholarship students, we would ask them, what drives you? Having a determination to show I'm number one, or versus my parents work very hard. I'm brought up by a single mother. I need to work hard so I could provide for her. having these two applicants with different driving force would mean very different value system, which will also contribute and integrate back to our philanthropy values. So firstly is recruitment, and then the onboarding process. You go through a MSS company orientation, and then you go through a MSS philanthropy orientation as well. And that PPT is longer than the company PPT actually. That runs over 100 over pages. And we actually seek feedback from HR, like, what was their reaction when they saw the slides? So for somebody who is interested, they would be, oh, wow, this is what the company does. For somebody who is bored, they will probably be dozing off, not interested, not showing interest. Those little signs we picked up along the way so that we know the employees better. So after the orientation, I think most important is as founders of the company or as senior management of the corporation, Gigi and I, myself, we walk the talk very much. We believe action is louder than words. So instead of putting just a corporate statement up, I think many times we're involved directly in the activities. Gigi has been with me in trips in Cambodia where we spend weeks to build wooden houses for the villagers. And we'll like squash 10 in a room with double bunk beds, completely covered with dust, and eating the same oily noodles every day, every meal.
You took your staff together?
No, we didn't. We went to experience it ourselves.
Okay.
That's also part of the audit process when we work with partners as well.
Okay.
So we went there and we see what was done. So there are many times that we're personally involved, and that is to demonstrate a commitment. So to transform the values or to translate the values to within the corporation, it is very important that we commit to show that it is important.
Yeah.
So the orientation, the recruitment, we ourselves walking the talk, it's our form of commitment. So beyond that, it is equally important to set up a team that could help and support these initiatives. Because it is a corporation, we are not an NGO. NGO, you're fully set up for that purpose.
Of course.
But as a corporation, your employees are employed for commercial purpose. And this is one part, of course, we could do better. The philanthropic part is not in their performance KPI.
Okay.
You see, it's so conveniently forgotten. We put in the commercial ones like, okay, marketing, you need to achieve how many views, how many clicks in the social media. But the philanthropy side of it, we have missed out. In fact, it was through this that it came to me that is something we could improve on. Why not have 10% of a KPI be related to philanthropic activities? So thanks for having me here. That brought me back to this. And so dedicating resources, building a team, putting a firm budget to these activities is very important. And we've been doing that consistently through the years. Thirdly is to be very clear about the goals, that any philanthropic activities you want to undertake is aligned with the values and the goals that you have set up. You measure it, and then we enhance, mistakes that we made, what we could learn from. And then finally, marketing. I have Heaven, my colleague here. They always do internal PR as well to the colleagues so that they know what the company is up to, what we have been doing. And if we have public opportunity, we always thank the employees. Like Christmas, we'll write cards and we sign off, Gigi and I, and we would thank them for their contribution. Because of what they've done, we have the budget for the philanthropic activities. So this is also a way to involve them indirectly, to bring them into to engage with what we have done.
Okay.
So I think that basically sums it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's why. I think we all believe that this is very important, that an organization have a corporate value. So you have a corporate value, and then you have a philanthropic value, and how they intertwine. And philanthropy, like we mentioned earlier, it's not only considering donating money, it's considered giving back to community. There are a lot of ways. MSS recruitment, I think that many of you know here, is a HR company, right? So the way that they the way that they treat their employees and how they deliver these values to their partners can actually affect a lot of other companies who are looking for staff from you as well. So we would like to thank you for your very generous effort and the time that your organization have put in trying to make a difference. And next, we would like to invite Pedro, I Okay. So we would like to invite Bedru also. So CNC lawyers have also had a lot of philanthropic action related to the contribution to the community, to the staff, to your clients, etc. So I would leave the time for Bedru to share with us the experience.
Thank you, Jenny, and apologies that I'm wearing a mask. I'm not okay, so I prefer to make sure that I'm not getting anyone else sick. It's very inspiring to hear SY talk. Because I think MSS is just on another level. I would almost call it militant corporate philanthropy. Because it's really inspiring.
All soldiers.
Because it's almost not a company anymore. It's almost an ONG, and it's really on another level. This explains why they won last year. At CNC, no, not really. At CNC, we try to do the right thing, and that's what drives us. Regarding our employees, and we believe that if we do the right thing to our employees, they will take care of our clients properly. Of course, this doesn't always work out. Because sometimes we believe that everyone is good and everyone is trying to do the right thing, and some policies backfire because people are human, and
of course.
And sometimes they become lazy instead of one of the objectives, for example. We don't have a policy for this, but we avoid firing people. And this allows people to feel safe. And we believe that will allow people to take risks. And taking risks is essential in business.
Right.
And here in Macau, people are very much risk averse. So we believe that this would allow people to take more risks. It doesn't really always happen. Some people do take more risks. Some people become a bit lazy because they know that they're not getting fired. So it's really, we need to strike a balance between what is right and doing nice things. And doing nice things is not always what's best for people. Not always the best for people, not always the best for companies. So we are a step behind MSS. We take corporate responsibility very seriously. And we believe that doing the right thing, which is not always easy, doing the right thing is the right way to go. Again, going back to what I was saying before, doing the right thing is not always easy, because sometimes to do the right thing, you have to do things you don't want to do.
Okay. Have you did any participated in any events, activities that you don't want to do, but you think it's the right thing?
No. It's not. It's not about events. We participate in a lot of events.
Yes.
I'm thinking, for example, of ARTM, the Association for the Rehabilitation of People with Drug Addiction Problems. We've been supporting them for 20 years, I think, since they started. It's something that we do with pleasure. It's not a sexy thing, so they have trouble getting people involved, and we've been supporting them for many years. They usually organize some tournaments that help raise awareness, and we usually have teams like a basketball team or football team always participating in those events, and those are always things that we are glad to do because it's fun, and it's a way of, at the same time of supporting the community. That's just one example.
Okay. But how do you choose those the events that you participate? What is the value rooted in CNC lawyers?
Well, we don't have a checklist, and this is not part of something that we started out with the objective of doing. So it's something genuine that starts out from our intention to do good. It typically happens that we learned of some activity and we decide, oh, maybe we should join this. I think that there are a few people of ours that would like to join. Let's talk with them, see if there's if they would like to join and let's support this. So it's a very ad hoc way of doing things.
That you make the decisions together.
Yes, we have something called the CNC Club, has existed for more than 20 years. Antonio Sotero is here, he's the one leading the CNC Club. And the CNC Club is the one that gets people inside CNC to adhere to these initiatives.
Thank you, Pedro, for your sharing, and we will ask also. So we have MSS Recruitment is human resources. We all know CNC lawyers, lawyer organization, both are service organization, and we have another also service, but a different kind from the media. So, Jose, can you share a bit about Macau business values and your corporate philanthropy actions?
Thank you very much, Jenny. It's I'm trying to adjust to this new role, right?
Yes. He wanted to take over. And let me ask the question.
Yes, all of a sudden, if all of a sudden I'm starting asking you questions and I forget I become a
that
chair.
Doesn't matter.
Excuse me. So it's my great pleasure being here. It's truly meaningful because it's a Three Cunha Foundation. We have a wonderful and a very fruitful partnership because it's with Macau Reach Institute, with SY, but we've been having talks here, bringing together in this kind of epistemic community that we've been building over the years and contributing. And during COVID, this was especially meaningful. And this brings me to the day we first talked about the Dane Awards. That was probably 4 years ago, was it? 3 to 4 years ago, Father Stefan Rothlin. And I said, let's do it. Let's do it, meaning our media group joining this, because the core values, and if we look at the core values of the Dane Awards, respect human dignity, respect fairness, respect the environment, respect business ethics, respecting the disadvantaged, and the enhancing value, of course, of entrepreneurial spirit. This is really something that we fully subscribe, and we felt that we're part of this same community and communities. For our media group, there's another fortunate coincidence is that we are celebrating our 20th anniversary.
Okay.
So you got some magazines.
Well, I hope you
That's one of the philanthropic actions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But this is really it's really, we can easily hook this up with the overall topic of this talk, because our founder Paulo Azevedo, since day one when he launched Macau Business Magazine, then Business Intelligence Magazine, and a lot of other publications and also events, there is a key component, a pillar in our approach, and his approach and our approach to what a news media organization should do, the social role, and looking at journalism as a public good. I like to see things this way. It doesn't matter if it's delivered by a private or public entity, but it's a public good. For obvious reasons, we do have a big responsibility on our shoulder, right? I don't know if we got great power, but certainly we have a great responsibility, right? With great power comes
media has great power, especially in the modern days,
probably not as much as before, right? But we're still regarded in many ways as a fourth estate. Now, my point is that there's a two-tier approach to what we do. On the one hand, the most obvious one, which is we are a media organization. Our business is news media, is a very, very peculiar and idiosyncratic kind of activity. Philanthropy and corporate social responsibility, well, this is mirrored in our editorial approach, in our choices, because journalism is always about selecting. We're always singling out something, because reality cannot be, it cannot encompass everything that happens all around us in a publication or a news bulletin. So you have, news judgment is quintessential. This is very, very important. And then this brings me to the issue of the matters related to our editorial approach, which is, yes, we are primarily focusing on business news, but business as part of an ecosystem, of a community, of a society. That's why we got a lot of stories social issues, on public policies, and we like to tell people's and businesses stories because that's the lifeline. That is what basically makes what we do effectively meaningful. So this is our small contribution, and also by joining and being media partners with all these friends and institutions and events, it's our contribution, and also by bringing CSR, corporate philanthropy to the forefront of our editorial agenda, of the stories we publish and all of that. Secondly, it's also about what we do not only as a news outlet or outlets, but also what we do as part of our group. So our group is Project Asia Corporation. De Ficção Multimedia Projects is the company that is a publishing company of all these publications, magazines, and digital media platforms. But we have other companies, and also there's an association, the Macau Business Readers Charity Association. So Paulo Azevedo has been holding and launching together with Stefan Kuhn the charity golf tournament on an annual basis. We're bringing it back later this year, by the way, which is linked with the Inclusion Conference. So this focuses on special education, autism and awareness, and inclusion. There will be, we have been holding every year pre-COVID an international conference on autism and inclusion, and we've also been holding these charity golf tournaments where we bring together golf lovers and kids and youngsters with intellectual disabilities, autism, and those who are working in these communities from all over the region to come here and to raise awareness on this. So this is something that we highly cherish. Also, we have the Business Awards of Macau that we've been holding. We're also bringing it back. And of course, sustainability, CSR, philanthropy, a view and an approach to business ethics. This is, of course, also it also ranks pretty high on the criteria and on the approach of the Business Awards in Macau. So this is basically our two-tier approach to philanthropy, to corporate social responsibility, where we try to bring our action and our values, our action and our news values together, and to provide also a platform to tell all these stories which are important. We need to let people know what businesses and institutions have been doing for the greater good, for the community, and ourselves to try and do the right thing, as Rui was pointing out. This is something that we intrinsically and innately we have this. We kind of know what's the right thing, and we try our best, and always learning from each other and trying to share and provide our news platforms as a vehicle to let more people know what all of you are doing. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. Actually, we have always invited Macau Business to be our media partners for all this. Well, first because our projects are related with business, and we're from the Faculty of Business and Law. So, but also, I think the values is very close because at our university, we try to teach business or sell the idea of business from a different point of view, from the point of view that each business is a social entity. Each business has its own responsibility, and is solving a social issue, and is solving or even a personal issue. Each business is trying to solve a problem, and that is also how we try to. Well, we collaborate with MRI also with the Responsible Business series, and then we saw also the business the business news and others that Macau Business have been publishing, and all those. And I see that you have published a lot on responsibility and corporate philanthropic actions, right? So the next thing is just now we have each of our speakers shared a bit with us about what they have been doing in terms of responsible to their employees, to the community, to the society, to audience, readers of your magazine, to clients. On the other hand, how do you see? My next question is, how do you see the actions that your organization do is filling a niche that other organizations are not doing in Macau? Or how do you see that your actions have been filling a niche or doing something that you see something is needed, but no one is tackling that issue yet?
Shall I?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
sure. Yes, start with SY.
If directly in relation to Macau,
Well, not just the whole region.
okay, maybe I just talk about Macau first.
Okay.
I think for Macau, two areas on this for us. One is it doesn't have. Oh, I think maybe the government has done a pretty good job to secure the basic needs of its population. So what we see is how we could come in and enhance the current NGOs, or how we could support them. Secondly, I think maybe one of the issues we feel is there's high consumerism and probably wastage. It's like a rich country problem that we have here, rather than extreme poverty that in countries that we help, like India or Nepal and Cambodia. So in relation to that two areas, we first look internally what our core competencies are. So fortunately, we own hellojobs.com, which is one of the highest traffic portal in Macau. And we thought we could use that platform, leverage on it, to bring awareness to the NGOs, to bring awareness to their cause, to bring awareness to any campaigns that they want to highlight. So with this in mind, we have approached some of the NGOs to work with them. I think one of which is the Dog Association, Zhen, and we've worked with them quite a fair bit. And during COVID time, we have approached Caritas as well. So besides highlighting and promoting their campaigns in social media like Facebook, Instagram, WeChat, we have also undertaken the marketing team to design ad campaigns for them, because we have been effective in doing that. So I think in Macau, for that area, that's what we have been doing. In terms of high consumerism and wastage, we launched a program pre-COVID. We operated it for 6 years pre-COVID. It's a recycling program of used clothes. So we advertise it through our own social media, and the local Macanis and some companies as well would bring in used clothing that have been washed and cleaned. We made a request on that.
Right.
And the last initiative that we have, we collected 120 tons of used clothing, which we could send to the poorest of the poor communities in China, to the orphanages, to Philippines as well, to the slum area of New Smoky Mountain, where the families and the kids are staying in slums and have no access to simple clothing. So very much for us, these are the two areas in Macau which we felt we could work. I mean, on the philanthropic, not talking about company internal.
But overall, right?
Yeah.
That is actually one thing for philanthropy. When philanthropy comes to mind, it's about helping the poor. But someone once told me that there is no poor people in Macau. Or the wisest phrase that I have heard from a former mentor of mine, he's saying that people in Macau are so poor that all we have is money. So, so philanthropy.
It's pretty deep.
Yes. Because so that we need to. That's why I was thinking from our side, we need to look at philanthropy the other way around, right? We are not. It's not just about helping the people. It's about changing the mindset. We help there are poor people in other parts of the world. But I'm happy what the SY has been sharing with us is that we can make use of what we have or what we don't have aside from money. We have to raise the awareness and to bring the consumerism or to bring what we have here in Macau to other places, right? Bring it out of Macau. This is also another contribution so that now we don't only have, we are not only left with money, we are left with care for other people and also a philanthropic heart, right? Thank you for your action and your sharing. Thank you. And how about Medru? How do you see certain niche that you mentioned earlier that you have been working with ARTM and some other actions, activities you've participated? How did you identify that needs there and then your organization choose to participate in it?
No, there are some cases, for example, before the pandemic, we used to have a cooperation with some charities and people could come into the office and just drop off used clothes, used toys, and sometimes there were a lot. Sometimes in 1 week we had to go 2 times to deliver those to the charities because it was getting full.
Okay.
And this is something easy to do. This is and I would say most of the things we can do in Macau, they're quite easy, makes people feel good. Is useful to society, and it's not rocket science. You just you need to keep your mind open to these possibilities. Then during COVID, those charities stopped receiving the used clothes and toys because they were afraid that they might be contaminated with COVID. So we had to stop that because we would get things and then we couldn't deliver them anywhere. Another thing we did early on was when the Environment Protection Agency started having those battery recycling boxes. We have one there at the entrance of CNC. And a lot of people, both working at CNC and from outside, they know it's there, they come there and drop off the used batteries to avoid that they go into the waste. So most of these are quite simple things to do. One not so simple thing we did a few years ago, maybe 8 years ago, was having a nursing room that's open to the public on the 5th floor. And the idea came up because some of our female lawyers had babies and they wanted to breastfeed. So we created a room which used to be a small gym. So we converted that.
Gym for babies become.
No, we converted that to be a small nursing room so that they could bring the babies and change diapers and breastfeed in a comfortable way. And we opened that also to outside. So anyone passing by can come up to the 5th floor and use that. It's open to the public.
Still open?
Still open, yes.
A few years ago, yeah. In fact, actually, not long before you started that, we have, in one of my entrepreneurship classes, we have students from environmental science and identified this niche in Macau and many places, that there is a lack of places that their business idea at the time is to have a portable the nursing rooms.
Yeah, nice.
And then soon after that, we saw that your organization is opening. I informed that student, hey, someone is actually doing what you proposed in class. But yeah, that is a very...
Yeah, those are small
niche,
examples.
Yeah.
In the case of the nursing room, you actually need a room and it's a bit more work. But most of the small things are easy to replicate. It's something that everyone can do.
You're making use of the location of your organization. Right?
Yes,
Which
we're
is
very
a
lucky
convenience.
because it's a very central location, so people just pass by and drop off the clothes, used clothes or the batteries, etc. So, and these are just some examples. We have a lot more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So it's not we're learning from the example of from CNC lawyers. It's not something. Sometimes philanthropy is not a big step or a big action, right? We make use of our advantage, our core competence, as that's why I've mentioned just now, that we can tackle certain issue. So, Jose, how about Macau business? What niche can your media empire fill in terms of corporate philanthropy? Well, it's an empire by Macau standard.
Well, I guess not only our media group, but I think the different media organizations here in Macau, there's a commitment to telling all these stories. So I think this is important. I was thinking about these couple of keywords. One that I mentioned is inclusion, right? And inclusion in the broader sense. So I was talking about the annual conference that our group has been holding on inclusion and special education. This is something that it is really meaningful and important for us. Another keyword is diversity, and diversity in the sense, now this brings me to our editorial approach and news values of having a platform for diverse points of view from diverse social groups, where because this is really, really important. This also leads me to this concept of truth, which is a rather complex term. Not truth in absolute terms, but in an intellectually honest way,
Okay.
meaning an intellectually honest approach to truth. I mean, this is something that is of paramount importance for journalists and journalism, right? It is an attempt. It's always a path. But my point is that by following and by embracing that path, we are providing that public good that will uncover and bring to the limelight, on the one hand, issues that even in an affluent society like ours, we have a lot of stories that may not be, of course, mentioned in the official narratives, but they are reality, and this is something that is extremely important, that we keep on doing this. Sometimes it's not always easy for a number of reasons, but I think it is important that we in the media keep this drive, because this is a value for the society that we may provide, and we provide. And also by talking about these stories, the stories
The
of
stories
those,
of them.
the stories of MSS, the stories of Ukrainian Foundation, of CNC, all your stories. I mean, the stories that may be inspiring, because that is also really important. There's one saying in our trade that good news is bad news, because
There's no bad news.
if it bleeds, it leads, all of that. Well, it's not exactly the case. I mean, during COVID, I could see how something positive and inspiration in the midst of that gloomy environment that we were in, how this was really, really important for people to see the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Right.
That was really important. And on a final note in this round, on the pandemic period, which was a very important period, because we were here. Actually, I was, I can recall those meetings that we had with Stefan, with Jenny, with Rui, with SY. So this was really important, because there was a sense of belonging, and something that we could build. And those foundations that we laid all together, I think they will bear fruits for the community in the future, because now, of course, we are again in a fast-paced mode, right? Sometimes, it's a bit of it's normal, right? It's understandable. So all in all, it is telling stories of what's going on. As they say, speaking the truth to the devil, right? As they say, but and at the same time to tell these stories that may also shed light on and be inspirational, because of the intrinsic good that that these entities and companies are doing. So this would be my couple of cents at this stage. Thank you.
So making use of the words through your media
Yeah.
to bring peace, truth, and justice.
Yeah.
Like who? So, but just a follow up. You mentioned during the pandemic, so Macau Business have been bringing news, and then but bringing from a point of view that brings light to people, right? How after the pandemic, everything is so fast. There's so many things happening.
Yes.
So, how do you face this challenge now to continue bringing lights and not,
Yes.
bringing lots of stress to
Yes,
people reading what's happening?
Well, it's a challenge for all of us, right? Because we're catching up, and I guess we're all of us we're short-handed, right?
Yeah.
The HR issue.
You have to go to SY then.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, this is. I mean, all in all, I guess, on a wider issue concerning our city, it might be, it is, it might be something self-evident that, this decade is of paramount importance for our city, for the Macau SAR, for a number of reasons, right? It's the third decade of the 50-year period. Regional competition is heating up. There's competition for talent. There's a competition for modernization around, in the neighboring cities. You have the challenges of regional cooperation. So I think getting it right, what comes next in terms of Hongqin and the Greater Bay Area, and also what will be our involvement. Talking about this brings me to the issue of poverty alleviation as part of China. What can we do to play a role, a deeper role, a more meaningful role in this big task of paramount importance, which is tackling poverty and focusing on this. And at the same time, in our city, we've seen we've seen a pattern of recovery, of economic recovery, which is rather uneven. Right? You just walk around and we can all see. So this is an issue that is really important. My point is that it might be, I hope I'm wrong, but there might be some problems that are brewing and surfacing as a result of these asymmetric pattern of recovery and of economic development and new social issues that will need to be tackled. So this is something that I think we should, beyond the neon lights and the flashy figures, right, of growth, which is great that we have, again, economic growth, but the quality of the development in how inclusive it is also, it's intrinsically linked and intertwined with this discussion that we're having here. And in the longer term, on a final note, I would say, the Sustainable Development Goals and issues related to climate change and all of that, in a couple of decades, it may knock on our door. Waves of, this is a global issue of climate refugees and all of that. So we should look at, this in a holistic fashion, I would say.
Yes, and we remember you say that today, that you need to use your media empire to spread the news, because it's not something in a couple of decades. It's something that's happening already.
Yes, it is happening. Exactly.
Everyone is that needs to tackle, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you talk about the issue of sustainability. That brings me to the last question. We still have a bit of time, so a last round of questions to ask for you to share with us is all these actions that you have been doing. We're talking about from the beginning that responsibility, philanthropic actions, doing good business, it's not a one-time thing, right? It's not a one-time action. It's easy for anyone to do one action. But while it is rooted in the values of your organization, what steps are you taking, or how are you trying to ensure that your philanthropic actions, whatever cause that you are supporting, will be sustainable?
I think there are many aspects to these questions. Right from the start, corporate philanthropy starts from the corporate. And then it comes to the question, does its longevity ties back to the corporate's longevity as well? Or do you want to make a conscious decision to set a separate entity for it? It operates independently with resources from the corporate. There are many aspects of many levels of questions to answer. In fact, most of the times, for most of the initiatives that we embark on, we went in with the best of intention. We didn't have big, grand scale plans. Like we have programs in many parts of the world. For example, we have program building water hand pump in India, in Bodh Bihar, that's one of the poorest states in India. There are pipings and water taps around, but when you turn it on, there's no water. That's the realistic part of life there. And so we embarked to build water hand pump. And why water hand pump? Because it's easy to build, it's inexpensive, it's US $400 for one, and it can serve the community of many families with immediate access to water. So we didn't embark on wanting to do it. We happened to chance upon it. We saw there was a need And it's something we could work on because we have reliable friends, partners whom we could work with together, and we could audit the process. We could get receipts for things we buy. We have process integrity. So we went on with the project, and as it goes on a short term, you fund the project, you have little team, own volunteers, and then it start to go to a midterm and longer term where, this work, it benefits the people. If I were to take it on a longer scale, what are the things I need to consider? Could we buy in bulk so that we could save money? Could we set a team just to work on this program? How do we communicate this to more people so we can have access to more funds? We could build it faster, we could build it more. So when the question of sustainability came in, on that aspect with the programs that we built in, a lot of times we started with testing the grounds, because besides testing the ideas we have, the process we have, the partners you have, whether you have aligned values as well,
True.
and you could take it to the next step. So it actually takes a considerable amount of time before you could further invest more resources to say, next,
Right.
let's build 10, let's build 20. We're now building our 19 water hand pump. We hope we could reach 100, 500, and 1,000. That's on the programs that we work in. But on a separate note, for the whole philanthropy values and activities that MSS undertake, it is a big question if this should go on if one day MSS is no longer in existence. Should this go on if one day Gigi and I are no longer part of this company? As of this moment, we decided that we would like it to continue.
Right.
So we're actually in the process of registering a NGO.
Okay, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Waiting for approval.
That's a dare movement.
Yeah, so
Right.
we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
We're not sure if this is the right move as well. But I think we just go with the best of intention and how much benefit we hope it brings to others.
Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. So it's about, that's why the goal 17, SDG goal 17, right? Cooperation is very important, because for things to be sustainable, sometimes it's not just one organization, one person, right? We need to work together in order to ensure that whatever good deeds that we are doing can continue, right? And Pedro, how about your actions?
Picking up on
for
what SY said, this was a bit the story of how the foundation came to be. The foundation came to be 12 years ago, a bit continuing on the tradition of CNC and the worry about society and giving back to society. And the foundation is not directly related to CNC. It is through its founder, but not directly related to CNC. CNC has continued the same policies it had before, the same worried about doing the right thing, etc. The foundation was created with a very specific purpose. And going back to what you said before, we are so poor that all we have is money.
Yes.
It's a very deep, very deep statement, and that was exactly at the start of the foundation. 12 years ago, we were at the height of the casino boom here in Macau, and high school graduates, when they finished high school, they just wanted to go to work for the casinos, because they would go work for the casinos. They would start earning 15, 16, 17,000, which was more than their parents were getting at the time.
Yeah.
And they thought, okay, this is good. This is what I want. And then came the pandemic. And this is all they know how to do. Deal cards. And that was the worry of my father 12 years ago. That people were just focusing on material things and forgetting that society needs much more than that. Needs culture, needs food for thought, needs people to think about other things than just material things. So that's how the foundation came to be. So it is related, and I'm very glad to learn that SY is taking a similar step.
Another
Something like
organization
this.
is doing that, right? Because so that the foundation would continue to go on, right? Promoting
I hope so.
the idea of culture, maintaining history, and okay, you can be the moderator now if you
No,
want
no
to ask
problem.
questions.
Yes, you caught me.
I know.
I've been refraining myself.
I know. That's why we put you on that
Yes,
corner.
exactly.
Whenever you want to switch roles,
No,
you can
it's
take over,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
how about Macau business then?
Yeah.
Can you, how do you ensure the sustainability of the actions you have been doing?
Well, this is interesting that this idea that this aim of helping to build or to contribute to something that is beyond and greater than our own organizations or
Right.
the lifeline of our own organizations, because organizations they are born and then they prosper, and then one day they may be gone. But the thing is that what they stand for, the value that they create in the business-wise, and the value that they create social-wise, in terms of the social value and all of that, remains, and then it's shared, and it is embraced. And so the NGO, I think this is a very, very good move. I believe, and let us know. We would love to publish the news about that.
Yes.
MSS recruitment launches NGO. So I have the headline, so I'm writing the lead.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think for the Dyer Award, Macquarie Institute, we are planning to write a case of MSS also.
Yeah. So no, and actually yes, in the case like of course as
the case.
Rui was this is the story of Rui Cunha Foundation and CNC and Rui Cunha Foundation and all of that. In our case, we do have an NGO, our link with Macau Business. I mean, there's an NGO which is the the Charity Association Macau Business Readers, which is involved in a number of charitable events and activities. But of course, the thing is that we incorporate that ourselves, as I was saying, in our news values.
Right.
Because of course, I mean, we aim at being fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fairness is always balanced.
Right.
But we don't pretend that we are neutral. I mean, we try not to be biased, but that doesn't mean that we are neutral when it comes to these core values. Social and economic values of an approach to what is a sustainable and inclusive development model. And we have of course, we try to provide the platform for different perspectives. And of course, we also express our view on what we believe could be a way forward. And we always hope that these views can be considered, because we think these different views can be helpful. And we don't aim at having any, there's no magic bullets, or silver bullet, I would say. Things are always quite complex. But I think, on a very, half full glass take, is that we can look and we can see this agenda taking shape.
Right.
We're talking about this. It's way more on the agenda, all of this philanthropy, corporate philanthropy, corporate social responsibility, ESG, sustainability. All of these things, they're not exactly the same, but they're part of the same
need to
conversation.
put all together, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And more people are joining this conversation. And this is really, really inspiring. And I think it's not only a matter of hope, it's something that is already taking shape. And we try, to continue to play our small role and try to improve and to be more inclusive in the future as we move forward, and to tell more stories and to keep on fulfilling our role.
Exactly. Exactly what you mentioned. There are a lot of different things that put together when we come into sustainability, philanthropy, responsible business. In fact, 2 years ago, when we started opening the call for the DARE Award, there are small businesses that are telling us that, I can't join because we didn't do any philanthropic work, or we don't have any responsible actions. And then we were trying. The idea is for them to think about when they try to report. it actually shows that they have been doing a lot, because it's not about, like we said in the beginning, it's not about giving a large chunk of money to donate to poor people. It's about the small things that organizations have been doing every day, right? For the staff, for the clients, for stakeholders, for the community, for the environment. So every business have been doing something together, and we are very glad to have the three of you here shared with us today about the different things that you have been doing, which my colleagues have been taking notes, so we have more materials to teach, just to reinforce the idea that at the University of St. Joseph, we want to teach business and law from the point of view that every business, every organization is an entity, which is part of a larger society that we can contribute. So, and to do whatever we can to, well, make the world a better place and hopefully help the world sustained and to have this continuation. So we are very glad again that for you to have you share with us your experience. So we have some time now for open floor. So if we have any questions for any of our speakers, or if any speaker have questions for other speakers. So we'll open the floor now. Does anyone have a question?
I prefer not to take this.
Okay.
Or discussion that you would like to raise? Yes, Rutger?
Yeah, just one thing. Actually, we didn't really touch on this. First of all, thank you very much. Very inspiring stories from all of you. It is the matter of exchange. If you talk about philanthropy, it's about giving, right?
Yeah.
But often giving goes with waiting for a thank you. And if you wait for a thank you, then is it really giving? So I come to the point that you have, there are a couple of things. One is it tax deductible? In Macau, maybe not so much of a big deal, but in some countries it's a big deal if you have philanthropy as a company and it is tax deductible. So yes, okay, cheers. There's also could be the thank you from, or basically a must from the stock market as a requirement. You must do ESG projects, and then the S is the social. Let's do some philanthropy, so we tick the box. Yeah. Never mind what the heart says, it's just what someone, the regulator says.
Right, yeah.
And then the third one is basically just you want to feel good. You do some philanthropy, and because it gives you a kick. So somehow, are you waiting for someone to say thank you, and I want to be in the newspaper with it, and you want to make PR out of it. So this is all very much Macau, I think, right? Not to mention big companies, concessionaires who must tick the box. So, to what extent is this philanthropy? Is it still valid? I think it is, but I think it's a very interesting point to hear some opinions from the panel.
Okay.
Can I start?
Yes.
Actually, we were talking about this just before we started.
Yeah.
And our short conclusion was it's better this than nothing. If the concessionaires are doing it just to tick the box, they're still doing something, and that's better than doing nothing. But of course, it would be better if it were more genuine, if there were a real concern about the consequences of the actions that they're doing as philanthropy. I think that in a rich place like Macau, it requires more effort to find the things that really make a difference than just handing out money. It does require being more savvy and making an effort. It's not as easy as it may seem, but also it's not as difficult as I was saying before. If you do the right things, if all the small companies were doing the small things that CNC has been doing for 26 years, I think we would be in a much better place.
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting question, and the question is if it's not mandated, would the large corporations be part of it? So like what Pedro was saying, I fully concur with what you said, that better something than nothing. And given that, then how could we enhance this whole process? So if given that some big companies are mandated to have some philanthropy activities. As maybe as a government party, could they have some involvement or some people with the expertise and knowledge of what areas to focus on? How do you execute these activities? That would help probably better deploy the resources that they have put aside. Because we're talking about huge amount of resources that these corporations have. And regardless of their intentions, the most important is how these resources are used to benefit those who really need it. And I think that's where we could focus our attention on.
And whether they actually get the benefits,
Yeah,
right?
where does it go
in
to?
the
How is it
receiving
executed?
end, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe just something else that I may add. I'm not sure. I guess it's a good point that I think we would need to have. We've seen what we've seen talking about the new gaming concessions and the strings, additional strings attached. The overall direction, I think, it makes sense. I mean, compared to where we were 20 years ago, there was a need, for a number of reasons, for a number of additional conditions and terms to embrace this kind of, I would say, so the gaming concessions concessionaires could have a stronger contribution to what is now widely labeled as common prosperity and all of that. I think this is, of course, makes sense. But the question is, how are we going to assess the outcome, and going to assess going beyond ticking the boxes, and also going beyond what is needed to submit, in terms of either for not only PR or photo op purposes, but in terms of a longer term impact on certain issues that need to be tackled. So I think we are still trying to calibrate, for instance, the issue of SMEs. And it's not the elephant in the room, because we all know what's going on in some areas of the city. How are we going to address this? And also, what is the role of a government, and what is the role of a private enterprise, regardless of the size? And is it, sharing away responsibility, transferring certain roles? And how is this going to work? So I think we need to reassess all of that, maybe. But all in all, I think we're moving forward, because there's a lot of things going on, and as Hui was pointing out, and also doesn't matter so much the intention, but the outcome is really, really important. But you were mentioning, Rutger, a number of specific incentives, such or carrots, so to say, that perhaps could allow us to take the whole thing to a higher level. And certainly there are some interesting and best practices in terms of benchmarking on this. Father Rothland mentioned this, I remember, in a talk show, and even mentioned the case of India, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, but I guess, we can look around, even in the mainland. We can take some interesting references, and around the region to move forward. But you always have to have a top-down element there. I agree. And the question is how to recalibrate it, and also not going beyond issues related to philanthropy. I'm talking now about the contribution to economic diversification and all of this, right? This is, of course, the right path, right direction, but there's always a cautionary tale with regards to trying and aiming at doing everything at the same time everywhere. So I guess an assessment on how to improve and refine that would be beneficial, I believe.
That is
Let me-
exactly. I agree. Yeah,
Let
because
me jump in on that. Before I said it's, if they're doing something, it's better than nothing.
Of course.
But still, I think we also need to think as a community if this is what we want to do, because we're putting a lot of responsibility on the gaming concessionaires, and their objective is to make money.
Yeah.
It's not exactly to create a fairer society, etc. They're companies, and I think there's quite a big risk outsourcing to those companies some of the responsibilities that belong to the government.
Exactly.
So now I hope you're not going to quote me on this.
But making money is a responsibility for large organizations, especially public organizations,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
without-
bringing
and
wealth for
without-
shareholders
Of course,
is a
it all
responsibility.
boils down to the
Yeah.
issue of the own concept. I'm not a legal expert of what a concession is, and
But,
it's and what gaming as a business activity is. You know, it is. There's a lot of specific features, and you know, and this has been going on over the decades. And back in the day when we had a situation of monopoly, we did
Right.
have. Back then, the sole concessionaire had a number of obligations in kind. So I mean, but all of these, I think, the point is, it's been a couple of years, nearly a couple of years after the new concessions,
Right.
and I believe that the government would be and the stakeholders are looking into this on how to recalibrate, improve based on what we have, on the legal arrangements that we have, and also on the policies and the guidelines that have been issued. I think there's also important to perhaps have a bit more of transparency on all those plans to be disclosed to the public. So I think that would be beneficial, and pressure will pile up on that, I anticipate.
And that could be the next panel discussion.
Exactly.
Experts who are in this
Yeah.
area to
Yeah,
discuss
yeah,
about
yeah, of
about
course.
this issue, right?
Right.
Because it's also the issue of nowadays we talk about the triple bottom line, right? How you balance that when a corporation has to do good, has to contribute, how do you still be responsible to your shareholders and investors?
Exactly.
And whose responsibility is it? The idea of philanthropy, Father Rothland could correct me if I was wrong. In the beginning, it started when it was an economist who brought the idea, rich businessman who brought the idea that businesses that makes a lot of money should be the one who started giving back to the community. And that's how philanthropy started, right? But nowadays, it's not just about money. It's about other things, like what our speakers today have shared with us, what companies have been doing. And I would like to close today's discussion. I know you might have more questions, but afterwards, I'm sure our speakers will stay for a few more minutes so you can chase them down and ask whatever question you have with them. But to close the panel discussion, I would like to once again thank our speakers today.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks to Macau Business for being the media partner and to be very supportive of the project.
Thank you for coming up with
there.
this concept and suggestion, and for persuading me to switch
To
roles.
speak, yes, yeah, because originally at the first meeting I was supposed to be meeting Jose and to invite him to be the moderator for this panel, and then as we started to talk about the questions, it turns out that he has a lot to share. That's why I
I'm
said,
not
okay,
sure.
let's change roles. You be the speaker this time. But,
So I can be a
thank
bit
you.
less moderate.
Yes. Yes, so the next time when you're the moderator, you can moderate down again.
Oh, yeah.
But now you can do everything. Okay, so thank you again for your support for our for the project with that Macau Ritchie Institute and Father Rothland started our DARE project, the Dagnan Award for Responsible Enterprises. And thanks again for the winners of the DARES 2020. MSS Recruitment, SY, and from CY&C Lawyers, Pedro. Thank you again very much for sharing with us today. And let's give them another round of applause for their sharing and their actions and all the responsible acts you have done for the society. And we would like to once again just to recap that we would start the DARE 2024 again, so the second round of DARE, and I believe many of you here are owners of small to medium enterprises, so probably next time it will be one of you here would be the winners of the next DARE. And before we end today's event, I'll give back the stage to Father Stefan Rothland, our Master of Ceremony, to say a few closing remarks.
No, thank you really very much indeed for this inspiring round. And I think you were wondering what makes it specific, this Dagnan Award. And I think that came out very clearly, this specific link between entrepreneurship. It's not just a competition between NGOs. No, it's the link between entrepreneurship and key values. It's not just follow also some law, but this link also to share the values. And I'm also very glad what came out recently. People from Hong Kong very much telling me, yes, that's what we need, but we actually should start earlier, already in the middle school, to instill these values of human dignity earlier. See, and so I was so glad for you that I think in the first, second, and third round we think should be clear what makes it specific. This really, yes, we need entrepreneurial spirit, but yes, we need also human dignity, then fairness. And so I'm also glad to share what some have shared with me was last year a trip to Lebanon. So a country in complete economic collapse. So there I rediscovered also how much actually from Macau we can contribute. See, maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think Macau can be a kind of laboratory for the future. And so for students, I could really not dream anything more inspiring if you see the complete collapse and even famine now in Lebanon. And so I see with great hope now that this is becoming very stronger. Also, I'm happy to share the latest data I got about the impact of business ethics from Europe. We started in 2002 with business ethics and were considered a bit idiots or eccentrics. But now the data of measuring companies who follow business ethics very clear. If you don't follow business ethics, you're out of business. So it's really a significant shift that all this ESG has become really extremely important to be a competitor in this very kind of fast changing world. So I really was very moved to see that how many complex issues you have addressed. And so let's especially hope this is valuable for the next generation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Roland, and thank you everyone for coming. Thanks again for your sharing today. So we will hope next time Jose will start another round of discussion. A continuation. He will moderate a continuation.
Next time you will be talking
we will change
about
back. We'll exchange back roles next time.
Because we will all want to learn more about USJ's and your faculty's approach.
That's the reason why I exchange roles with you, because what USJ has been doing is boring.